Okay, this is another one of my. This is what I learned from, and in this case, from the Anne Rice novel. Yeah, this is well loved. Falling apart, man. I've had this for like 30 years. Anyway, for anyone who has not read the Vampire Chronicles, there are two characters who originally, when they're introduced, are just called Those Who Must Be Kept, and they are the first two vampires. And I won't, for anybody who hasn't read this and wants to read the series or some of them, whatever, I won't tell you anything too much. No, I'll try not to have any spoilers. For anyone who's seen the movies or read the books, you might know where I'm going with this. It was the first time that there was kind of in my life the concept of dual gods, of male and female deity. And that was with the characters of Those Who Must Be Kept, which, start off as a queen who becomes merged with a spirit that gives her powers, but she has to give a blood sacrifice, and then she infects her husband, the king, and a whole bunch of, great storyline stuff happens. I was 12 years old when I first read this book. And we're talking like the year the book came out, pretty much. Might have been the year after, because I think this is a 2000. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm like really out of it today. It was 1985 it came out, so I read it in late 86, early 87, so about a year after the book came out. And a lot of it went over my head, but I was so drawn to the idea of this dual deity, that the king and queen who became the male and female god aspects. I didn't quite understand it at the time, but it was just the idea that something so powerful could change a normal human being into something so elevated. Whether Anne Rice was really pulling on the idea of male-female deities from pagan perspectives or not, I don't know. I will assume. But the excuse me. The fascination with the general aspect, the general thought that by inviting something foreign into you by possession or sacrifice or whatever the case may be, in order to gain knowledge and strength and something a little bit more on the line of individuality, how can you not look at that and think, this is something I want to research, this is something I want to explore? I also have to say, this book, The Vampire Lestat, which is the second book of the Vampire Chronicles, it got me interested for a few years in Egyptian mythology, because that is the basis of what she uses in here. I love how in the story, as it progresses into Queen of the Damned and kind of takes on a life of its own, how she represents Akasha, even though Akasha ends up being her own worst enemy. The fact that she within herself is a dual kind of persona, because she is both this life giver. She creates the entire vampire, or almost the entire vampire race. Like I said, without giving too many spoilers for anyone who hasn't read them, who might like to. But she is also a goddess of destruction, or queen, depending on how you want to argue it. Which I think makes her, for simply being a pop culture character, I think it makes her the perfect icon for that. For some of the death goddesses, for some of the darker aspects of some of the warrior goddesses, and helps you to kind of remember that just because you give life and are capable of that, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's always the right thing for you to do. I'm not going to touch the whole fertility topic, really. At least not today. I would love to have been in her meetings when she was researching the character of Akasha, and the real inspiration for this. She's got this mother goddess, this queen, who becomes this higher power, this deity over this, first her land as a queen, but then over her king, showing that she has more strength, more power, more intellect, and unfortunately more anger. And then eventually over her race of vampires. And it just, when I first read the Vampire Chronicles when I was a teenager, when I was 12, 13, 14, 15 years old, from the age of 12, basically, onward, but especially when the Vampire Lestat and Queen of the Damned came out, not only did it spark me to study at that time some of the Egyptian mythology and Bas in particular, but it also sparked me to kind of work with Kali for a bit. I really identified the character of Akasha with the goddess Kali.